Hi, Freedom Renegade Radio, podcast 11. I can't believe we made it already to 11, dude.
Yeah, that goes quick, right?
It was kind of crazy that when we hit 10 when we were out there, I was like, I think we're fucking 10 already, dude. It's kind of amazing that, that people don't make it to 21, We're easily flying through this. We could go 1,000 podcasts.
We did 74 of them without pretty much anybody even fucking watching.
Yeah, I mean, what was our biggest podcast? Like 250 for one before this?
I couldn't even told you.
Yeah.
We'd have to look back on it, but...
That's one thing that I love about TikTok, especially when we first got on there, is like, if you share your video, it's going to go to 200 people. And if they watch a percentage of that shit, it's going to new people every time. That was the beauty of TikTok in the beginning. It seems like they've had a hard time replicating that. But now the shorts and stuff and the Instagram reels, they work the same way. They kind of copied that. But on YouTube, like the shorts work well. But on YouTube, like if you could put out the best video in the world. And if you don't have that many followers, it's probably not going to get seen by that many people.
Yeah, I think you have to build the audience. You know? You really have to focus, do well to be consistent in all of them. If like we do.
Yeah.
We do,
Yeah.
I think that dialing it in to just fucking push all of them at once is definitely like the goal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it takes time, consistency.
Yeah, I agree.
But what you were saying earlier is a good idea.
What was I saying?
To make sure we're doing shorts every time we post a video.
Oh yeah, I did post one right before we got on too. I don't know why we haven't been sharing on Instagram the same videos we share on, or sharing on YouTube the same videos we share on Instagram. Because I've been trying to do it, but sometimes I completely forget. I'm like, all right, got Instagram. We also have a bigger following on Instagram, so we're like trying to impress people over there.
I know we want to keep it running.
Yeah.
But just the lifestyle, it makes it hard too. I'm like, I always got to go.
Yeah.
It's like, we get here and do the live, and then I got to go fucking go.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's Fletch had brought up earlier about the Terrance Howard and Eric Weinstein or Weinstein. Is it Weinstein or Weinstein? I don't know. He, it's funny because I've watched a lot of the Rogan episodes, not all of them, but a lot of them, and he's one person I'll watch a little bit of his stuff, but I'll skip over it just because it's boring as shit to me. I don't know what it is about him; he just bores me. And so I've watched portions of him, and I have no view on him one way or another. But seeing him on this podcast, Terrance and him, I'm only an hour and a half in. Keep that in mind if you've watched the whole thing. But watching the way that Terrance and him interact with Joe, where Terrance has all these ideas and Eric is trying to, the way he's handling the argument or debate kind of, to me has been like a really beautiful thing to watch, because he's doing a good job of like trying to understand Terrance's framework and how it works before he gets critical, and the way he's able to keep his emotions out of this conversation has been beautiful for me to watch. So I like it. He went up like levels in my book of like a human being. I'm like, the way he's handling just not jumping in and trying to be a dick to him. He's being honest without being like emotionally invested in it. While I also think like, because Terrance is bringing these ideas and Eric's like, you don't understand the terms you're using, and he's like, you're calling this thing like this ultimate symmetry, when he's like, it doesn't mean what you're talking about. And so they're like debating the terms and trying to come to an understanding, and he's doing a good job of letting him speak. I also think that like Terrance the things he's talking about in the podcast, he has a decent understanding of, but not a great understanding of, because I think a lot of it isn't his. Like, I think he's coming with like the Walter Russell stuff. There's another guy in there, I can't remember his name, that he references, but it's I don't know. I think the ideas are above both their heads, honestly. Like, and so Eric's trying to tie it in with this, because he didn't even know much about the Flower of Life at all. And which is like, I've read multiple books on the Flower of Life, and it's more of a spiritual approach in life in general. But it's funny to just watch these two try to come to terms in a way and find what's actually valuable in this information. But he's like, he actually did some deep diving into the Flower of Life. Eric did before he got on there, so he could understand a little bit more. It so far the podcast is actually super enjoyable, dude.
It's when you bring that up about the Flower of Life being a spiritual thing, it kind of brings it to the forefront that what's happening is the bridge of science and spirituality through that. It seems that way, doesn't it? Yeah. Like, because he talks about opening it up properly. And then it creates all this geometry that he's using for flight and all that other shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it almost seems like it's like a bridge of that gap.
Yeah, and it is kind of
that.
Yeah. Like, it's so hard to put into words, because this is such a big idea, because like, science is like, science, religion, and art are different approaches towards a goal, right? So like science is an approach towards like you're looking for pattern recognition, which is what science is founded on, looking for patterns. And like science is also founded on rigorous doubt until something is proven true. It's based on the objective world. All science is you're trying to find objective truths.
Understand the world around it.
Right. And art is a completely different thing. You don't apply the same method. Like your approach to art is bringing something from within out into the world and using creativity. It's not looking for truth. It's literally, it kind of combines all of those in a way, but the approach of art is learning to express. But the approach of religion is not the approach of science. The approach of religion is the subject, not the object. But you can use the same kind, you can use science in a religious approach also, but like science is doing doubting and looking for the objective world. Art is looking for self creativity, self expression, and then like religion is like, who am I beyond anything that exists as an object? It's looking for the subject, right? And so they're much different approaches. They're actually like three aspects of what a human being does. It's like the subject, the object, and its expression. So you can tie them all in together in certain ways, but they're very different approaches for what you're looking for, and so so when you get a scientific person with a strictly religious person, they're always going to clash because they're looking for different things. The approach is completely different, but they're doing a good job on this of trying to understand each other. And Eric is doing a good job of, in his head, you can tell he thinks a lot of the things he's saying is bullshit, but he wants to understand it first before he criticizes it. And that's fucking beautiful to watch, dude.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
I think ultimately those things are one's looking within, the other one's looking without, but they're both trying to understand the universe around them, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or within them.
Yeah.
And ultimately that will come into a crossroads, I think. So it seems like just different approaches to understand life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also found it quite interesting that he said that I can't remember who he said that art actually uses science a lot, and they're engineers, and sometimes he talked about the example of a guy that made a movie, but really he made the movie because he wanted to test out a hypothesis.
Right. Right.
And so I think actually art is a lot of science as well.
It's art, and art is also a lot of religion too. It's a lot of like deep exploration of things that you have found to be kind of deeply true within yourself, and things that are like uplift human beings in a way of like, oh, I found this to be helpful. Like I found something about my beliefs. I found something about the nature of the universe. So you're like, art is the middle point between those two things. It really is. And then it also is self-creation. So it's like, I don't know. That's just my a take on what those things are. But anyway, go ahead.
I really appreciated the way that Weinstein talked about the way that Terrance thinks is much different than a lot of people.
Yeah.
And so people are quick to doubt because he is using the wrong verbiage. Mm-hmm. But he seems to have some understanding, but like you said, not quite all of it. So he's trying to bring information from one system into another system and saying, see, it's congruent. And I think what Weinstein is doing a great job is kind of separating those things for him.
And right now where I am is where he's trying to explain why magnetism and electricity are like the way that it functions in his mind and his understanding. And I think the idea is like, you're basically asking somebody that had an understanding that possibly was better than Einstein. You're trying to neither of these two is going to be able to explain this person's understanding. And so that's where Terrance is trying to do, but I don't think he understands it well enough to explain it.
Right.
And so you're going to look stupid when you're talking to a guy like Eric, but I think the understanding is actually there. I just think that neither of them could actually go as deep as Walter Russell did.
Or Victor Schauberger.
That's the other guy. That's the other guy that they were talking about.
And so I think that's probably a product of the specialization that we've gone through. And so, again, why I love Weinstein is what he said about, for me to understand what you said, I have to model myself what you said and then explain it to you. And if you can agree that that's what you're talking about, then I can start making some critical observations.
Yeah. And that's the thing. He's not being a pussy about the way he's being stern with what he's saying to him, but he's definitely not being offensive. And I fucking love, it gives me goosebumps right now to think about people just having a conversation without being offensive to each other, just trying to discuss something.
And Terrance appreciates it, it seems.
Yeah. And so does, and Eric makes the point, like the academia of today has lost the ability to discuss things. They're so invested in it being their own perspective that they're not letting science function as it should.
Angie and I were talking about that on the way in. I said it was a really interesting thing that he said, it turned into a killer be killed because they're fighting for money.
For money.
Yeah, where it used to be that, when scientists got together, they left their religion at the door. They left all of these things at the door. And they were trying to have conversations, but civility is gone.
Yeah.
It's gone.
And like when you watch the Flint Dibble and the Graham Hancock thing, they were so upset with each other they couldn't have that conversation well. They did do a good job, don't get me wrong. Joe did a good job of trying to be unbiased, and just like when Flint would make a point, he would support that point, and when Graham made one, he'd support that. But these two are doing a way better job of not fighting with each other and trying to let the ideas be the most important part. And I'm really enjoying that. I really am. It's pretty good. I can't wait till you watch it, dude.
Yeah, I know. I haven't got a chance to even sit down and open it up.
Yeah.
I've only seen clips on TikTok.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I can't even remember what the fucking clips were. It was always talk about the twos.
The twos, yeah, that's an interesting. That's how the whole thing starts, is the twos thing, and I enjoyed listening to that.
Was that the beginning?
Yeah, I enjoyed listening to that.
And
honestly,
I heard it, I was like, damn it, I've heard the twos. I want some new shit from Terrance.
Yeah,
man. I wanted to see him open up the fucking Flower of Life some more.
They start into that. They're starting into that. I want to see him
do is more with all the patents he's got.
The negative space and stuff.
I don't even fucking know. He said because on the old one, he's like, I've only done I'm not even like a quarter of the way through. I'm like, what? You got more of this shit,
dude. When
fucking open the box, let's go.
He brings it up. Terrance is like, "Oh yeah, but I have 97 patents," and Eric's like, "Those don't mean what you think they do."
And it's true. He's actually not wrong.
I want him to elaborate a little bit on that, but it was just funny that that's another thing. He's just like, though he's being direct but not offensive. Like let's dive into this and we'll discuss why that's not actually the case.
I mean, you can patent anything until it turns into a practical application. You have nothing but a piece of paper.
Yeah.
That says, and you can patent something that nobody wants.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of what he's trying to say without saying it.
Yeah.
Like, we could patent anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
That doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. I think so far it's given, I don't know, like I said, it gave me a little appreciation for Eric Weinstein as a person.
Absolutely.
And I wish, now it makes me want to go back and listen to him a little bit more because I've had a hard time listening to him. But some of the stuff that they're talking about is well over my head. Mm-hmm. Like the terms they're using, I would take me an hour to go through and figure out what exactly the words they're using. And then I'd have to have Eric's understanding of what mathematics is from an educational level to even fucking put a reference on it. But it's good. It's still good. You don't need to know shit about it to enjoy it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Terrance Howard immediately after all that. Dude.
Yeah.
My favorite part, though...
He should run for president. With Joe. Joe should run for president, and then Terrance should be vice president. That's what I vote for.
Yeah.
Or RFK.
Yeah.
Did I just lose some viewers?
John and Joe.
I mean, Joe wouldn't have Joe's got a pretty good shot.
Joe could win that shit.
I like him.
Joe would be a good candidate.
What you were saying something right before that though?
What he said about Terrance being, he said, you're saying a lot of words wrong. He's like, and a lot of people will jump on that and start saying, oh, he doesn't know shit. But really, to me, he's like, that means that you read it.
Yeah.
And you
taught
yourself. And he's like, and I have even more respect for somebody that can do that. When they're saying a term wrong over and over, that means nobody taught them.
Yeah.
They learned it themselves.
Yeah, that's true.
A cool point.
Man, that gives me goosebumps again. I like the way he's handling this so far, and I can't wait to finish that podcast, dude. God damn it, it's good. I love that and Eric mentioned this, but he's like, this is like one of the last places that exist where people have debates is on Joe Rogan's freaking up podcast.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, actually. That was one of my
this table, that's what he said.
It's funny that was one thing I was going to mention is that it's strange that became the place. Like what I didn't watch the presidential debate, but apparently they're talking about golf, which is fucking her. Like, what the fuck is that?
They were swinging dicks over golf. Which the worst part.
But then it's crazy. That's like the debate for presidential shit. But then we're having an actual debate in a under these. I can't think of the word, but Joe has built up this place where people are coming and actually that's where debates are happening.
Yeah,
and I'm not sure
and he's a fucking comedian that used to do Fear Factor that just started a podcast that turned into this fucking thing where these like life-changing conversations are happening for years and years and years, and then he ends up having like, to me, the Terrance Howard interview was like revolutionary. You know, there's everything he showed with the flights and shit when he's like, it's the end of cranes, like that's one that keeps coming to my mind. So it just
that linchpin
absolutely amazing, dude.
It has to be a practical application first, Chris. And I get what you're saying, because I think that there is the idea that we do need some sort of leap that has not been found yet. But his patents, and he does talk very convincingly about things that he doesn't seem to know much about.
In my opinion, what he's bringing to the forefront is life-changing for the world around
I think
us.
there's a mix too of like,
and it's also, I think there might be a lack of understanding of what it really is, and also too, he hasn't even talked about all of it yet.
I think there is a big mix of that, of like he probably has a better understanding than most people of it, but then there's like the academic approach that's clashing in with that. But I did notice actually that Eric said in the beginning, like the one thing I think that you have said on here that has real validity is your linchpin thing, which is what you're talking about, that like flying crane thing.
Yeah.
He was like, and we'll get to that. I haven't got to where they discuss it yet, but he said that actually has some real validity.
That's right. And that's
so
what
I'd really
keeps
like
coming
to know.
my-
I can't wait to hear more about
and that's
that.
the one that keeps coming to my mind, because like just what I saw with, he's like picking up the barrels and shit, and then he's talking about flight. I'm like, that is fucking crazy. And he's like, this could expand into the universe, so
Yeah.
what could you build that into? Like, it totally is just like not mind-boggling, but like it's so appealing to me and my, like, I'm like, that is fucking awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Like how could we not want to just be like, let's explore this.
Yeah, well, the coolest part too is that because he's on Joe Rogan's podcast, 1 million people are going to test these things out. This, whatever's happening right now, even right now, we're watching a debate that never would have happened that ever in the past, and now someone's crazy ideas. We're going to find out, are they doable? And it's actually good. We're going to find out if it's real or not. You know?
Yeah.
I think that's badass. Oh man, I just
like the AR VR thing. He's like, this is like a wave of light or some shit. He's like, there you taking a gun and using it as a bat, but I show them how it actually works if they wanted to.
Yeah.
That to me, if I was the guy running it, I'd be like, yo, dude, show me, please.
The Saturn
Like, what
thing.
the fuck is this?
The Saturn thing was pretty cool.
But you
know
don't
what
think
I'm
people
saying?
you don't think people are?
I don't know if that they are or aren't, but if all I can say is if it was me, I'd be making that call.
I actually think, though, that a lot of this stuff that maybe, I don't know if it's the stuff he's talking about, but you can tell in the past, whether it's water cars, hydrogen cars, like there's been mass technology that's been at like free energy for a long time. That's just people die all the time.
Yeah, it's like
so it's been completely
known.
suffocated for a really long time.
It's completely known
So I
to be
think
black
I think some of it has existed. I just don't know if it's ever made it to the light.
That's probably true too, because the oil, like people like oil companies and shit, there's no way they're gonna fucking let anything like that breathe. And it's completely known that they buy them, they'll buy the patents or whatever the fuck it is, the inventions, and then they'll black shelf them forever.
Yeah.
Just put them in a fucking room.
Same
dude.
thing they do with recording artists. A better artist comes around and they sign them, shelf them. You know.
What do you mean?
That's what they do. Like labels will do is like if they signed you 10 years ago and they're trying to push you, and I come around and I'm a better rapper that has,
Or you're hot.
yeah, they're gonna sign me and push my project, slow my project down, and make it sit on the shelves while they try to hype you up. So
Milk.
they sign,
Bloody milk.
yes, they sign great artists and shelf them all the time. It's a story to the end of time since record labels have existed. They've done it to so many good
They
artists.
just want to keep them.
Yeah, they want to prevent you from someone outshining you,
Oh.
so they come grab you and sign you to the same label with the promise that you're going to look like you, and they suppress
wow.
them. Yeah,
That's fucked
it's a
up.
long, dude. There's so many artists it's happened to.
It's fucked up.
Yeah, better artists.
Well, I guess we're gonna find out what it's like independent.
Yeah. It's crazy, but yeah, I'm excited to hear what you have to say about it, and we'll talk about it on the next podcast too.
I'll fucking watch it today.
Yeah, okay.
I'll watch. I mean, 4 hours though. We'll see.
It's
Dude,
gonna take you some time.
I got some
Yeah.
One Piece to watch.
Did you see the Jake Paul and Logan Paul did the lie detector test?
No.
Oh, dude, they did a lie detector test together, and they asked him, asked Logan, "Are you a part of the Illuminati?" And he's like, "No," and he fucking red dinged him, and he's like, "But I would be," and then they asked Jake, "Do you think you'll actually beat Mike Tyson?" And he's like, "Yes." It's like,
I mean, he's got a bigger test now. I feel like, dude.
I am
He's got
curious.
a crazy man in front of him.
I know, but did you see when they fought each other? They boxed each other in sparring early.
Did you hear what's his nuts said about that? He's like, dude, I was trying to build you
Build
up.
it up. I was hoping so because he was like, "Oh, you kicked my ass, man."
Who said that?
Mike Perry.
He said I was dadding you, bro. I was trying to be a dad.
Yeah.
Wait.
I mean, Mike Perry's tough. So Mike Perry and Jake boxed in sparring like 3-4 years ago, and he just came in and sparred with him. And at the end, all you see in the video is Mike Perry shaking his hand, saying, "You beat my ass, man." So
Damn.
his face
He's
is a
big
little.
brothering him.
Yeah.
Okay.
So who knows? Who knows how it's gonna go? But Mike Perry's a tough dude. You know.
Yeah, well, we'll find out.
Yeah.
We'll find
Tough
out. I'd
and
love to
crazy,
see Mike drop
which is a
him.
combination.
Yeah.
And getting hit with real fists is not the same as getting hit with freaking pillows on your hand, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
It's you get hit one time, you can see it every time UFC fighters go over there and fight him, dude. They get hit one time, and like even Luke Rockhold tapped out from punches, you know? It's
Broke
like I'm
his
done.
teeth, bro.
Lost
But they're
his
not
teeth.
fighting bare knuckle.
No, they're not.
Which would be he'd fucking beat the brakes off.
Well, also in blocking with your bare fist, there's so much less to block with your, you know, like you're getting hit in the head with your own fist.
It's a totally different fight.
Yeah.
Mike Perry's probably tough as shit in a fucking street fight.
Oh, dude, you watch what he does. He's
Mike
a
Perry
stud.
said he's one of the people that like to get hit. He says, I need to get hit before I fight.
Before I get woke up. Yeah, dude.
He likes it.
out of
He's
prison.
crazy,
he
bro.
Came out of prison, dude.
Yeah.
So he got that mentality. He just
crazy.
doesn't give a fuck.
Did you see when he took the Ancestor 23 and Me or whatever?
Isn't that fake?
I don't know. There's a bunch of them. Who knows? There have been some fake ones. I don't know if that one specifically is, but he tested for 2% African American, and he got on the camera and was dropping N bombs. He's like, "I'm 2%, baby." It's fucking stupid but hilarious. You know, he's like, "I'm 2%. What are you gonna say now?" You know. But yeah, I don't know. I'm curious to see. It's back to the lie detector thing. They asked him a couple different things, but they asked Jake. He's like, "Are you jealous of your brother's success?" And he's like, "No." Yeah, dude. It was fun to watch.
They're like
actually,
equally successful, aren't they?
nah, Logan's a little more successful. He's also got a little bit more money too.
Really?
I mean, that Prime deal
They
is
have
a lot.
they have that like they have a relationship from the outside. I don't watch their podcast. I don't really follow those guys other than all the shit that you would hear about them. But their relationship is like very like strained. You can tell they don't. You can tell they want to love each other and they're working on it, but they have like a lot of fucking shit that in between them that they're not like tight.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like I bet they go to each other for things and shit, but and that they want that tightness to be there, but it's not like me and you. You know what I mean?
yeah. I mean, our relationship took a lot of communication, a lot of fighting, and a lot of fucking love and working together. Like those guys have been in the spotlight together their whole life, and there's a big competition of like Logan got famous, Jake started coming up too with him, and it's like who can get more fame. There's like it's the same. It's an amplification of most brothers' relationships that don't find love. There's a competition. There's also a competition for your mom and dad's love. There's like it's an amplification of that stress, like thrown through the stratosphere of the internet. You know.
Yeah.
And that's tough.
And that shit makes me grateful for our relationship with each other and our family.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because our mom and dad didn't treat. I never felt that way with mom and dad with competition for love.
Yeah.
Or like to compete with you for their love.
Yeah.
I always just knew we had it. You know what I mean? And dad was hard on both of us. He's probably hard on you in different ways than me. Just because you're an older brother and you notice things like that, you probably feel that way. But
He blazed the path for you is how that works. Their parents are never as hard on the second kid as they are the first kid. It's like Nate probably fucking wore him out a little bit.
I was definitely crazy.
I did that.
Yeah.
That's what I did.
Yeah.
But yeah, it makes me really grateful for our relationship and that dynamic with our family. You know what I mean? Because we don't have to go through those same types of things, and we've weaved our relationship into something that's really beautiful and tight. You know what I mean? And is trusting and loving at the core.
Yeah, at the end, no matter what, it's always going to be love, and we'll always come back to it. But the key is we fight the things out we need to, you know.
Yeah, and we have the ability to not harbor feelings in that. And if we do too, just like the other day when we were at the house about the song, dude, just, you know, I call you and tell you I love you and don't want to fight, and you know, and we both kind of reflect on it, and we solved the issue too.
We found a good compromise.
Yeah, exactly. We came to a conclusion on it where we're both like, okay, cool, you know.
Yeah.
So
We're both a little unhappy with it, but
we know how to work
it.
with each other
Yeah.
too. That's what's been frustrating for me in a past relationship with women, just a single one, because like I like to do that. You know, if we fucking have a disagreement, we work it out. And in the person that I was with, I couldn't find that flow, and I'm like, come on, we can solve this, and fucking never could find that solving energy consistently.
Yeah, because you know what it takes. You know what it takes in our relationship, so you think it could be possible in another one, but
It is possible.
I know, and so when you see it with somebody else that you're having a hard time getting them to be willing to address their own mistakes, it makes it really hard to grow when someone can't like take accountability for something. You know, it puts so much stress on a relationship to grow, and you can never start a foundation of like acceptance of the mistakes that each other has made.
Yeah,
you know,
and moving past it.
Yeah,
and just working
and communicating softly too. You know, like it's, I don't know. Go ahead.
Truly forgiving it. You know,
Yeah.
like whatever mistakes may or may not have happened.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's just someone not fucking cleaning the dishes or going out whenever, or, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like there's a multitude of things that happen in relationships like that. But
I heard somebody say it's better to be nice than wrong. Was it?
Yeah, I think you
Weinstein?
said. I think
Was it you?
Yeah, I heard him say something like that.
It's
What
better
would you
to
say?
be Nice than wrong because it
kind
feels,
than right. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Edgar Casey says that it's better.
Oh, that's what it was, and that really hit me
Yeah.
actually when you said that in the last podcast. It's like, yeah, because what are you doing by proving that you're right? You're just putting yourself up or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. What's the point sometimes?
What?
Sometimes people get torn down because of it, you know, and you don't.
not your
Sometimes it's better
intention.
just be nice, you know.
Sometimes, like what I find for myself, that's been the most helpful for me in all my relationships is like reminding myself of like, what do you want out of this relationship? And like the most important thing to me is always, I want what's best for them. If I can get out of my own way and just want what's best for them, it allows me to let them be themselves and show me who they are, and then walk away if you need to. But most importantly, like, what I want them to be happy, and I want them to do what's most important. If that doesn't include me, that's okay.
And I think that what's happening in that Weinstein, whoever it is,
Yeah.
in that conversation, that's what is taking place a little bit. He's giving him room to breathe with Terrance's conversation and the ideas, but he's also being kind rather than being concerned about being right.
Well, he
Yeah.
started with that, and he said, "You know, I'm not." And you guys both call it a debate, and I'm not sure it's a debate.
Yeah. It's conversation.
Weinstein even suggested that at the beginning, what I'm trying to do is steel man your argument versus straw manning you. He's like, a lot of people just want to start pointing at, oh, he's crazy. He's like, I want to understand. And so I'm trying to get to a place to where we both can walk forward with these ideas. And if anything, I'm trying to make you reinforce your ideas. I'm not trying to tear you down. I'm trying to build your ideas up within the realms of science that has been established. And he did make the point that, like, he's like, you know those warehouse videos where somebody just hits the corner and the whole warehouse falls? He says, that's basically what you're saying to math when you're saying 1 times 1 is 2 and you're doing it wrong. He's like, Terrance was quick to say, that's a, what did he call it? That's an illusion. He's like, that's actually a metaphor. I'm not really saying it's a metaphor. But when you start with that metaphor, you're really hitting the corner in that warehouse. And mathematics and science is built on a foundation that if we got anything wrong, it's all wrong. And that's a tough thing. And so they're very protective of their systems because they've worked for so long, even with the square root of 2. And I used to actually fight with my geometry teacher about pi. They say it's an irrational number, right? And if you look at pi on a circle, it goes about 85-90% around it. And I'm like, well, how can it be an irrational number? We know that there's this much space left. Why can't we just measure that? And we know that there's a perfect fit to make it 360 degrees. He's like, oh, you can't do that. It's just irrational. It goes on forever. But so I think that what Weinstein is trying to do is trying to get him to understand that we have a lot of time have been put into these systems that we have, and we can expand upon them, but we have to do it a certain way. You can't just go and kick the corner out and say this is all fucking wrong.
It might be a situation of the fundamentals of it right now only allow it to work to a certain degree, and maybe the way that he's suggesting actually lets it work to the exact, like, how it's fundamentally supposed to.
But we're talking about the flower of life, aren't we? And hasn't that been around for thousands of years?
They kind of get into this,
but that's also
So it worked then, but not now.
To his point, that's what part kind of to the same point I was making. It only works to a certain degree in a certain way because the way it's being viewed and the perspective it's being looked at, and he's trying to shift that
That's interesting.
That fucking
The perception,
not necessarily
like paradigm.
The paradigm,
Yeah.
shifting the paradigm into maybe the proper way to open it and look at it, like with not straight lines. Maybe a box can only fucking go so far until it collapses or whatever. This is just my mundane idea, imaginary idea of it. But then if you go a different way, like he mentioned, building things like a mushroom, like maybe. I don't know, maybe the universe maybe the way that we're looking at it is flawed and we're just enough and we can function off of it to the degree we are, but if we could just address that flaw, then it would be flowering.
He makes the point in that podcast.
I don't know, though, there's just idea.
He makes the point in the podcast, which I thought was interesting. Terrance says, there's no straight lines, and Eric says there is in nature. And that I didn't see Eric actually give an example of that in there, but I did think that I think Terrance is coming at my math. I'm talking about existentially exists. You're talking about numbers and theoretical ideas.
Me?
And no,
Okay.
Eric is talking about theoretical ideas in math, which is not always rooted in in nature or the way life is functioning. It's an understanding of built up number systems that all work together, but Terrance is more coming of it that doesn't exist actually. Those are a perfect construct that works well in the way you've designed it, but it doesn't apply to life. And so I actually thought he made a good point when he said that, because I didn't hear Eric actually give an example of straight lines. He said that there is, but there actually wasn't one given. And I hope they readdress that. But I think those are two very different things, trying to use the mathematics of life versus the mathematics of what we have or made up.
Yeah.
Not saying they're made up. They probably works as a really functional system, but I think those are two different things.
Yeah, and maybe in that system there's a flaw that isn't allowing us to really harness the energy of the universe.
Yeah, and like I said, I think those two things are very different. I don't know that they even go together. They probably have some similarities. They probably
Crossovers.
But life is, we're trying to understand life in a different way than what our system of mathematics clearly doesn't describe life. It's just a really good try at it, And so I think he's this is how life works, not how math works.
Yeah.
And so he's those two things kind of conflict.
Well,
we know we don't have it perfect.
What did he call? There was a name for it where he said you're trying to use words to prove your points. And it's not about the words. We're talking about concepts. And he even tried to bring it into a math concept, which I think this is where the breakdown for Terrance is he knows some, but he can't do it he can't express his ideas in numbers in an integer form.
Mm-hmm.
He even said, that's why I need you, because Eric Weinstein was describing his system for him. He thought that he came to one of those shapes through math in the cube that would predict that shape if you did it this way in an equation form, in terms no, I just drew a line over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
But Eric described it mathematically.
Mm-hmm.
And that's doing what you guys just said. You're expressing in integers something that you could build in real life. And
Yeah.
it's expressed in integers. Math is another language, and I think people fail to understand that.
Mm-hmm.
It's another language
Mm-hmm.
that does express the world.
Well, it's supposed to be
Fairly
the language of the universe, and that's why if there's a flaw in our approach to it through the systems we're using, then it only can take us
and
exactly.
flaws.
It only takes us so far.
Limits are different than flaws.
Those adjustments could really let us harness the energy.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. But they could also...
Well, it would. I mean, if there is a flaw and we adjusted it, it would. It would make
maybe I think is inappropriate, because we don't. If that was the case,
if there was a flaw and you adjust that flaw to make it perfect, whatever that may be, then whatever those flaws are, you're gonna fucking fix them.
So describe to me anything that's perfect, because I don't know. Perfect is an ideal. I'm not sure it exists.
Well, if math is the language of the universe, if we can dial it into what it should be, then we can express it in the universe in the universe, like through buildings and everything else.
So
I think our
simulations.
I mean, the universe.
No, not simulations.
Because I was gonna say that's what we do
like
right now.
actually build buildings like that. Take.
But
them
what
and-
does that mean? Because I think we do like simulate things all the time. So like I think you guys know I'm huge into F1, and these guys are simulating everything they do over and over and over again to find out the best possible outcome, and then they try to reproduce that. They simulate everything. In cars, in wind tunnels, in all of it is simulated first. Computer-aided drafting and simulation. And then they go out and then they do it in real life because they've simulated it.
Well, I think the entire universe it uses incompletion as its way to express itself. The only way that something can exist forever is it has to temporarily chase its own tail in an infinite way. So like from the place that life is perceived from is perfection. The nature of yourself internally that's peering at the world, it itself is like silence, and it's looking out on itself, but the only way it can experience itself is use incompletion. So everything is imperfect that's manifested because it's temporary. It's always in fluctuation. So the movement of incompletion is what the universe uses for itself to exist forever through change. And so, but the place it's looking from will always be like silence. Silence is perfect. It literally, it needs nothing. It's already complete unto itself. It already is at its rested state forever. But when it manifests itself to exist, it has to be in a continuous spiral that will never be complete. And so those two things work together. The entire universe of life is incompletion in itself. That's what it is, so it can keep going.
And creating.
Exactly. That's what it is. That's its nature. It's like perfection or silence and vibration. Silence is the place that what it is perceiving itself as vibration. And or you could call it perfection perceiving itself as incompletion. The whole thing is always incomplete. You know what I'm saying? There's only one thing that's like will ever be in perfection, and that's your nature. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like it ties into what you guys are talking about, but also like you guys are having a slightly different discussion. But that's what I think about it.
I feel you.
Yeah,
I feel you.
Yeah. Anyway, that's a great discussion, though. I really enjoyed that.
How about Alex Pereira?
Dude, oh my God, that was such a fucking fun fight to watch. The dude's on a whole nother level, bro. Like nobody. God, I just want to see him and John fight now, though. I really want to see John and him fight.
He said he's going to heavyweight.
Good, dude. I don't know that. I mean, I feel like John would take that fight because it's the easiest fight. He just probably takes him down and fucking subs him in a minute. But I would love to watch that fight, dude. That left hook he hit him with, like when you rewatch it in the first round, he actually lets him. He stays at the perfect range to just get touched and hit him with the left. That fight could have been over right there if you wanted it to be. He thought it was. When Yuri was on the ground, he was like, "Come on, come on!" He didn't even know the round was over. Like he was shook up. And then 12 seconds in, and Alex said, like, when I was watching him warm up, I noticed when people throw leg kicks, his hands go down. And so he's like, I knew I was going to hit him with the fucking kick across the face and knock him out. 12 seconds in, boop. It's crazy, dude. That fight was amazing to watch, dude. That card kind of sucked, though.
There was a couple of really good fights on
that was
card.
That was a wild card, though. The craziest shit happened on
Right?
that thing. It turns from a McGregor card into to those guys stepping in, and then Brian Ortega gets sick right before, and then homeboy jumps in fucking 4:30 in the afternoon.
7:30,
Well,
4 hours.
He saw that
3.5 hours.
Oh, wait, it was
Yeah.
4:30 someone's time, but
Oh,
7:30
yeah.
different time.
Yeah.
But he drives up 90 minutes later, gets in the fight.
What a stud, though.
And they're gonna put
And
him in the
wins?
spear.
Did he
too.
win? Dan Ige won,
He
didn't
lost,
he?
but
Oh,
the
that's
third
right.
round he beat the shit out of him.
Dan Ige looked good.
They're
Yeah.
gonna put him in the sphere too.
Good, dude.
That's
They
what
both.
were
Diego's
saying.
dope.
Dana's like, I'll put both of them in the sphere.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty cool, dude.
I wanted to bet on Brian Ortega in that fight too. He was the underdog. I'm like, that's crazy to me.
You think he would have won?
I don't know. It's hard. It's after I saw how he fought Ige, I think he could have won. And if you're going to bet on something, like you're betting on Diego Lopez has 6 losses. When you look at Brian Ortega, like he's a stud. No one's putting Ortega away. I've never seen Ortega get finished.
Really?
Yeah, he's a stud, dude. And
Holloway made him look bad, but that's about it.
Holloway made him look real bad, but he even didn't finish him.
But that's about it.
Yeah. He's a good fighter. I think if you're betting on someone, you can get the underdog and get the money on a fight that's 50-50 or better.
He's on the tail end of his career, huh?
Ortega? No, he just hasn't been fighting. After Max beat his ass, he took a break, dude.
He got some injuries.
Yeah.
That was part of the problem.
Yeah.
He was on the shelf.
And then when he got sick on this one too, that sucks, dude. To be there ready to fight, make weight, and then, have a fever.
Do you think that Hamzat will retire?
I don't know, man. That makes me sad. That COVID fucking wrecked him, dude.
God, I love what Whitaker said when he's like, "We'll see you soon."
Yeah.
And Whitaker was like, "Mate, what country? You can't get anywhere.
He can't fight anywhere but like Dubai and Saudi
I don't
Arabia.
know how I'm gonna see you."
Yeah, there's a couple people like that I've been hearing, like that Magomed guy with one eye. He can't ever fight in the States because he has one eye. They would never let him fight here. The commissions would never pass him. So same thing with him. He has to only fight in Dubai.
And that dude's tough.
He's good. He's got shit wrestling though. To be from Dagestan and suck that bad at
It's
wrestling,
kinda weird.
It's really weird to me.
And red hair.
Yeah,
Dagestan.
one-eyed
That's
pirate. dude.
Weird.
Yeah,
He seems tough.
he's good on his feet. That's for sure. That's for damn sure.
So they can't. Hamzat can't fight outside of.
Basically, yeah, like he can't come to the United States because he's friends with that Chechenian leader.
Really?
Yeah, they're like, nah, you could be a terrorist.
No shit.
Yeah.
What's up with Khabib though? They took his money.
No, I guess he owed like $3.7 million in taxes.
They
but,
froze his bank account. I saw yesterday.
Yeah, but Fletch was saying that like had something to do with him speaking out against Putin or something. That like there was kind of some backlash on it.
That's what I've read online on our MMA, but they were saying that like he must have done something.
Yeah, because he was good friends with him. I mean,
Yeah.
Putin gave him like $200 million worth of property after
House
he beat.
and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, so it's weird. I mean, sell it. $3.7 million, nothing to him. I mean, they offered him $100 million to come back and fight in the UFC, and he turned it down for one fight.
Yeah, I saw him talking about money in a clip like yesterday, saying he just like all he cares about is family, and in Dagestan they don't have money, and that's not how they do things.
He's like, I don't need money.
He's like, I want to talk to my mother.
Yeah.
He's like, I want to spend time with my mother. That's what we do in Dagestan.
Yeah.
All right.
I really like Khabib, man. He's one of those guys that, like, for me, most religious people kind of drive me nuts, but it's for some people it actually works. It seemed like it led his life down a path of integrity.
Those guys are very like, they're like, this is what it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he doesn't need to fucking share it with a bunch of people probably outside, like, especially like in a Christian nation like America.
Yeah.
You know, he's just like, this is who I am.
It seems like his values are like more lifelike, that are like they're more fulfilling values than like, fame and money and just partying and doing dumb shit. He seems more at peace with himself.
Yeah, I think there are other countries are so good about that now. I want to fucking makes me want to travel way more after going to Mexico, dude, because that shit, man, fucking, and then after you bringing that up, it's the other places are just so different in that regard. I think they're way more connected. What's that?
I just wanted to know how much you loved Mexico. I actually asked Nate while we were there. I said, "So how's Chris like Mexico?" He's like, "Bro."
I said, I don't know if he'd come home. He'd stay.
That's what I really wanted to know how you experienced it.
Yeah, I love it. It was great. The people were wonderful, dude. But again, it just makes me want to travel more and fucking be around different cultures and their connectivity to what life is, because it's so disconnected here in the way that America is and with the way, just the lifestyle of the West, it's all fucked up.
Yeah.
So, but I think that we both can learn from each other too, the way that we've built the world around us could be reconnected and flourish.
Yeah.
So they both can learn from each other, but as Americans, that is
They're
very
Americans in
intriguing
Mexico.
to me. What's that?
They don't like that. There are Americans in Mexico as well. It's called North America. We live in North America.
I get you.
No, but that's one thing that they told me. They're like, we're Americans too.
Okay, I feel you.
Because Mexico's part of North America?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This whole side, North America, South America, we're all
America.
Americans. This is the United States.
But,
so like,
yeah, I guess I didn't think about that. North and South America.
America.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't think
We're
about
all
that.
Americans.
Yeah.
They let me know that on that trip we were on multiple times.
Yeah.
Because I had made that mistake a couple of times. I kept on saying Americans. He's like, hey, we're Americans, buddy.
I think you make a good point too about the we have things to learn from each other because, you know, whether it's the India or the Eastern approach of life is much different than the Western approach. But when those two things work together, it's no different than combining the masculine and feminine, the left brain and the right brain. Like these things work better together. I think that's a really good point that you were making.
Yeah, and it's a harmony that we need to bridge. You know, it's like the yin and the yang, and like the East and the West. Like I think about it traditionally, like how America is compared to like China or Indonesia. You know, those guys are just, it's like the yin to the yang in a lot of the ways of the lifestyle, you know. And it seems like we both need to bridge that gap. There needs to be a bridging of that gap to create like harmony,
totality.
Yeah, like a total harmony in the world that we live in. Like like I feel like in the world, like all this friction is happening, but it's farther away than ever, but it's also closer than ever in a weird way. It's like that Tom Petty song, you know. What does he say? It's like something about love was close. It was so far away, but it was like right
it's
there.
So close.
What does he say?
I can't
you
remember
know what I'm talking
lyric,
about,
but I know what you're saying.
Yeah, and it feels that way a little bit. Like there's something. It just needs a click, like something from the Terrance Howard shit. You know, it just needs one little click, and it'll all fucking just bridge together.
I'm interested in what it is we need to share. What could the world learn from from the United States?
Well, I think I could tell you
ways to build the world around us, and the business mentality, and that way of working with each other.
What do you expand on that? What does that mean?
Bridging it, like using it to build your infrastructure in the world around you. Like if you go to specifically Mexico's infrastructure, it's way lesser. America has done a good job of building the world in a lot of ways and coming up with ideas and businesses and all these things that have actually transformed and fucked up the world, but transformed it in a lot of really, really magnificent ways with the industrial revolution moving on. But also too, we've lost connection. So there needs to be a bridging of that gap between spirit and finite. You know what I mean? Creating the harmony between mind, body, and soul so that we can live in harmony with the universe, ourselves, and the universe around us, and everyone around us.
I love those ideas.
I think that's actually a good idea, too, because like in India, you look at people, they have this very spiritual approach, but they have way too many people. They completely deny their body. It's all about spirituality. And so like you're the foundation of life, like your body and your the people around are not taken care of. And like in the West, we're all about materialism. And so we're missing the spiritual side of it. And you're right. Like those two things coming together is like creates like a real harmony where you care about your body, you care about the mundane, the material, and you care about the spiritual side. Like there is a very big disconnect. Like that's a really good point, I think.
It's crucial that we come to that, and I think that that's the path of man, to find that harmony and to really express life as it truly should be lived, you know. And I think that maybe
they're both missing.
And the way I think about it is like the rise and fall of civilizations over eons and eons of times, you know, just like you've said that in the past to me, like you've heard that civilizations have got to this place like 5 different times or something, and they always fail. But you know, and we're at that precipice again, and it's like, you know, maybe that's why we're alive right now.
Yeah, I actually did hear that a long time ago, that in like 2014, that like from some channeler, that like we're the first civilization that passed the threshold, and it was real close that we were going to destroy ourselves again.
What was the point where we passed the threshold?
2012. It was like we were on a threshold of like a collective energy of where we would either destroy ourselves, and we were close, or we were going to continue to work for it and actually be building to be more in the light age, like supposedly we're going into.
Yeah, and that's why like the dark forces are fucking fighting, clawing tooth and nail.
This is what I was talking.
It seems like in the world we're living right now, it kind of feels like all this is happening, but at the same time, just like what I said, there's like just a snap that needs to happen to really align the energy.
And you know what that snap always is chaos. Chaos brings change.
Yeah.
You know, people hate it because it's massive change, but chaos stirs it to be rebuilt in a better way. You know?
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll find out.
But sometimes it destroys you.
All you can do is live your life and do good things, keep your heart in a good place, and do your work in the world, you know?
Yeah, and we only live for, 100...
We're just a part of this fucking magnificent dance.
You know, it's like, and we only live for 100 years, so like that saying of like the best time to plant a tree was yesterday, the second best time is today.
Yeah. Always.
Like, you know, and so it's basically that. We're not going to be around for the whole thing. But we're contributing to it right now.
Right.
You know?
And how do you want to contribute?
Yeah.
How aware are you of your contribution?
Yeah.
and everything you're doing with every moment of your life, within that.
Yeah.
It's all important.
Yeah.
But it's also fun.
I wanted to get your thoughts on, this is kind of a topic switch, but I wanted to get your thoughts on like AI virtual influencers, this new thing. I heard Gary Vee talking about it, where he was saying like, instead of people right now, they'll pay big influencers, $100,000 to have them post their stuff, promote their products. But he was saying like the virtual influencers of the future are going to have hundreds of millions of followers, and you pay them $10 for them to promote your stuff because they're not real people.
You don't pay them anything.
Yeah, they're just, or maybe not even pay them anything. They're
Formula E, the electric, already got in trouble for creating a female AI influencer, and people got pissed. They're like, "Oh, you're not going to hire a regular female or a person?" And they're like, "Sorry, we'll pull it back." But it's already happening.
Yeah, I've heard there's legitimate people making a shitload of money off AI women.
There are already AI influencers
making good money.
You want to know the craziest influence video I saw? It was one of the most famous influencers in China. She was doing a product role to get paid, and they said it was one of the most, I can't remember how much money she got for it, but it was stupid. And she literally, like you were talking about showing people products, she had a pile of them. She'd open it up, show it, throw it. Open it up, show it, throw it. And that was enough. They paid her millions of dollars. Open, show, throw. And that was her whole video.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to fight something like that. It's definitely coming, which is going to change the role of influencers even existing, like what they're going to be doing. I'm curious to see where the authentic content creation starts coming from, because people will get tired of AI. Like there'll be a niche of like authentic stuff still, the campfire of the stove.
Wasn't
basically.
it you, Chris, that was also talking about like in the future, maybe hand-drawn art's going to be worth more because it's like everybody can get an AI picture.
Yeah. You can get a perfect picture, or you can get like
flawed
pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's beautiful, actually.
Yeah.
It kind of puts us into perspective of what the limitation of humans. But even though the AI is actually just a collection of our own thoughts.
Right.
It's nothing more so far.
Yeah, yeah.
So far.
Right. Dude, it was annoying when we were fucking in Denver to get because we flew into Denver on the way home. We flew from Cancun to Denver. We get there and we're just ready to come home, and it's like 8 o'clock. We get there. They're like, "Oh, there's a technical delay. We got to fix some electronics. Give us about 10 minutes and we'll let you know how long it's going to be." Then they come back like, "Oh, it's going to be about an hour." We're like, "God damn it. We're just so ready to be home at this point." Then they come back in about 45 minutes and like, "Never mind. All the flights are canceled. You're going to have to stay overnight. We're not giving you any money. All the rooms at the airport are already taken. You guys are going to have to figure it out." So we're just stuck in I was fuming at this point. I haven't been that mad at
What carrier? Name them and shame them.
United is what it was. And then about 30 minutes later, everybody leaves and they get on there and they're like, "We're actually going to give you $150 a person for somewhere to find, somewhere to stay and some food." And then travel. And then in the morning, I hear the chick in front of me on the flight say, "Well, I tried to collect that $150. They changed it from a technical issue or from a mechanical issue to a technical issue, which makes it so they don't have to give us the money now."
Wow.
Yeah. I'm like, I still haven't tried to go get the money yet. I'm going to try it probably Thursday or Friday, but.
And then you realize that the Denver airport is far from anything.
It's 26. We were 26 miles away from our little motel.
Yeah, I know. I've been to Denver.
It was crazy.
Like, Jesus, it's kind of actually far away.
One of the interesting things about the Denver airport is like there's like deep conspiracy theories about what goes on.
Did you go see any
underneath
of the
it?
stuff?
No, but I saw they're playing into it now, where like their advertisements are like, "Everything we're building right now, is it the Illuminati or is it something better?" It's like they're like playing into the whole advertisement side of it.
I mean, it seems like it might be the continuity of government space. It's one of the higher places elevation wise. And if you go look at it from above at Google Earth.
Yeah.
I tend to think there's something going on over there at the Denver
I
airport.
I can't call it, but I thought it was hilarious that they're just like blatantly putting it out in the obvious.
Well, I mean, that's a great way to distract, right? You just, I mean, you say, "Oh yeah, that's what we're doing. It's a joke," while doing it.
Yeah.
It's the continuity of government spot is what I read. Like if anything was to happen in Washington, D.C., it's a geographical location that you could take all of our elected officials to, and you would have a continuity of government space. That's all it is. I mean, you would want to downplay that no matter what, if it is that, right? And I mean, if our government doesn't have something like a continuity of government space, if something was to happen, that'd be stupid too. So I think, sure, why not?
Yeah, I don't know. But that fucking airport is massive. That is a big ass airport. We had a long ways to go on different fucking shuttles, and then even getting to our port, we walked on like 10 different like walking stations. It was crazy, dude.
We couldn't find our way out for a second.
I know, we got lost, dude. That pissed me the fuck off, though, dude. I haven't been that mad in a while. And every single hotel we tried to book within like the 10 miles, every single hotel we tried to book was also booked. You called, like, I don't know, how many did you call? I called at least 10.
There was something going on. They were playing shows. They had like 2 shows at like 40,000 people.
Oh, yeah.
At each
Meow
show.
Wolf.
And so everywhere I called 15 hotels, and every single one of them said they're packed.
Wow.
That's why we ended up at that fucking motel in bumfuck Egypt. There's a fucking bitch. The thing that's a bitch is that every single time we play shows and we have to fly or anything, when you fly out of Boise, they put you on a connecting flight because we have a small airport. So we always end up in fucking Minneapolis and fucking Denver, dude. And those are 2 big ass airports that are a bit.
Or Chicago.
Yeah, so we end
I
up in
haven't
Seattle
ever been to
sometimes.
Chicago, but I always end up in those other 2, and it's such a bitch. Even when we booked those flights for Cancun, they tried to take us to fucking Seattle.
Yeah. Up.
I know. I'm
It's
like,
up instead of down. We're like, what?
Fuck that.
Yeah.
We go to fucking Denver.
We almost should have now. In hindsight. In hindsight.
Now when
dude.
you say that.
Yeah.
Shit.
Delta was better, dude, because they got the TVs
I know,
right in the back
bro.
of the...
And fucking Rob. Fuck Rob.
Who's Rob?
Rob was that fucking stewardess, dude.
Oh, yeah.
That motherfucking Rob.
There's a whole empty row behind us of like wide open seats, and we're just jam packed in. And he tries to move back there and just
2 rows.
yeah, and lay down.
2 rows.
He's like, "Can I lay
but
down?"
But wait.
Go
We
ahead,
also
go ahead.
got the fucking seats that won't recline because we're by the exit. But we're by like the emergency exit if we go down. So our seats.
Oh,
won't
yeah,
recline.
dude, that
And then I'm
sucks.
like, yo, I'm gonna move back. Rob's like, hey, where's your real seat? Oh, right here. You can't sit there. That's extra money. Fuck you,
Dude, there was
Rob.
like this much more
You're-
leg room,
I
and they
hate
wanted
you.
to charge you more. Like, no one's in it. What do you care, dude?
I was like, I jumped back there like a couple times. I was so paranoid. I was like, I gotta lay down.
I was so happy
And I
when
was
you
like,
did.
I know.
I was
I'm like,
laying
Fuck
down.
Rob, I'm laying down. He was serving the tray. I go back there, and I know he's like had a ways to go because it was like a big ass plane. So I pop my head up, and I see him look at me. I'm like, ah, shit. Fucking whip back around, come sit with you again. A little bit later, they do the same thing. I fucking go back
crazy.
there. But
It's
I was
not
just
like
paranoid
Rob.
the whole time. Like, fuck Rob.
If I-
And then I asked that other lady, I'm like, she came back from first class. I'm like, hey, can I sit in the back? Can I move back one? She's like, oh, it's extra money. I'm like, fuck,
Dude,
I shouldn't have asked. I should have just waited for Rob to for the plane to go.
I told you, wait,
I
just
fucked
wait,
up.
just wait, dude.
In the future, I'll never.
They won't
not.
even know if you
And
wait.
I've never had that happen where they're like, I've never moved to different seating like that.
Yeah, we have.
Like that though.
Yeah, like that,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? But like on the way back from Hawaii, we were all just spread out. Like
That was a nice flight. I slept 4 hours laying in the
those
seats.
long flights, and you get extra seating. You're like, dude, please God. It makes me want to say fuck first class and just buy 3 seats. Like, what's a first class ticket?
No, that's actually not a terrible.
And 3
idea.
seats?
I wonder.
can lay down.
That's not a
I don't need no
horrible
fucking
idea.
first class. I'm just gonna buy a row.
It's
dude.
better than first class because you can lay down. dude.
Exactly,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah,
You just lay like it's better.
that's actually a kind of a good idea.
That's what I'm
dude.
saying. Like, how much? What's the price difference?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Dude, that's a really good idea. I'm
like
surprised
that
people
one
don't do
lady,
that.
that lady that was in those seats, she didn't lay down. The lady with
I
the
know,
neck thing,
I
I'm
know.
like, she sat there for 5 fucking hours like that. I'm like, dude, I would have laid down as soon as I got on the seats.
If I was the guy that was like, if I'm the stewardess and the seats are empty, like, who gives a shit, dude?
That's what I was
If this
gonna say.
bitch goes
Who gives
down,
a shit?
Rob
we're
doesn't
all
get the money.
fucking
No, he
dead.
doesn't, dude.
If it fucking goes down, we're dead.
Yeah, dude. It's
If it hits, please let me just lay down.
seriously,
So I
dude.
want to fucking die with my boots off.
That was.
You know what they tell
ridiculous.
you to do? They tell you to like tuck your head or something. I've heard that
in a wreck?
Yeah, like if you go down on a plane, they tell you like tuck a certain way. I've heard and I heard that it's so that you die. Fast.
Oh, what?
I swear to God,
It's like put your neck
I don't
down.
know how
It'll-
true
it'll
this-
jam
I don't
you.
know how true this is. I heard it a while ago, but there was someone said like there was a way that they'll tell you to, like tuck your head or something, and it's just so you fucking kill yourself.
I would wrap myself in everything I have and just fucking try to hold on.
Grab
for
my
dear life,
fucking
dude.
blanket and my
Yeah.
luggage and hold it to my chest. put my hands next to my head so that someone else's fucking head doesn't smash mine.
Dude, I was worried because all those like Boeing 787s have been going down or whatever, and we were on a 737 Boeing. But it was, dude, when I was watching the wing, it was scaring the shit out of me, dude. It was like
your wings
it was like whoof. I've never seen him move like that because we were on a bigger airplane than we fly on a lot of time. Dude, it scared the fucking life out of me. I had to close the window. I was like, I'm not looking at this shit anymore.
When we landed in Denver, I was all, look at that engine. Remember how big?
Oh, yeah, that flight was like twice as big as ours.
Dude, what the hell was that?
That was a big boy.
That thing will fucking cut every bird up.
That trip, though, that trip to Mexico, man, was like...
we love you, Beyond.
It was amazing, dude. Just like, and I know, like, I like Mexico just fine, but I feel like they curated the perfect amount of people to be there that were like, they chose sincere, authentic people that spoke really good English and just had a good way about them, you know? They'd all done psychedelics. They were all like, just kind, very good-hearted people, dude.
How many people were there with you guys?
So there was like, at any time, there's about 14 patients, and every day someone's leaving and someone's coming in.
So it's rotating.
All the addicts were amazing people. I could not believe, I would have never expected to meet people that were like severely addicted to drugs, that were, their quality of their soul was just beautiful, dude. And they were most of them were all there because they wanted to get sober. So that intention makes it so they're working towards like connection and getting free of that shit, you know? And then there was probably like, what, 20, how many staff members? 20 something? 20?
They told me 20.
It seemed like more because there was a lot of doctors.
They told me 20, maybe 22.
The doctors were amazing too, dude. They were all such yeah, dude. Oh, I needed that. I needed that laugh when I was tripping, dude.
That was funny as shit. Hey, man, can you hear me? Were you talking to me?
Oh yeah, when I first started tripping, the ibogaine does the weirdest shit to your like senses. With my headphones on, I was just sitting there and I hear my brother say, "Can you hear me?" And I'm like, "This motherfucker talking to me." I'm like, in my head, I'm like, "Can you hear me?" And then 2 seconds later, "Yes, I can hear you." I'm like, oh shit, dude, we're telepathically communicating. And I really believe, I'm not kidding, I heard the voices, like, just as clear as day. I'm like, then I freaked out and took the headphones off. I'm like, oh, god damn, what the fuck's going on here?
What is this shit?
And then I put them back on and I was like, trying to talk to you and I couldn't hear you then. And then like an hour later when I slid that thing over, like, were you just talking to me? I'm tripping. I didn't even know if the words came out right.
Fucking high on that
dude,
shit, dude.
high.
It was before I threw up, so it was like, it was kind of pre-lead. It led me into throwing up because I turned my head. When you talked to me, you made me turn my head. It made me turn my head, and I was like,
dude, you can't move.
Sick as fuck, dude.
You can't move,
But
bro.
yeah, you're like, you go, hey man, were you talking to me? Like, what do you mean? Like, were you like, I could hear you in my head. Like, were you trying to talk to me?
You're like, no. I'm like, oh shit, dude. I thought for sure that was happening.
Like, nah, man, not at all. Bro.
Weird stuff was happening.
I wish I would have had the capacity though to be like, you heard me? To like fuck with you, dude. Like, oh yeah, dude, you got it. Like, tell me if you hear this.
Weird stuff was happening to me, like the music that was playing, all the shaman music in the background. And I clearly know my voice. I would hear me singing. It would be, and it was just instruments, and then my voice would come in and sing over the top of it, and I was like freaking out, like, what the fuck is this drug, dude? It is insane. Like,
it wasn't as bad as people made it out to be to me, but as far
it was
as, like,
different,
that
not as bad. It was different than any other substance.
It was different than what I had it made out. Like that dude in fucking Michigan was all, when he was telling the story, he's all, my chest fucking opened
Exploded.
up and all these exploded.
Exploded.
Yeah, I
open.
was fucking way too gone, but I just remember thinking, this is fucking nuts. But what did he say? It opened up and all these souls started shooting out or something?
No, he said his dad walked into the room and fucking had a whole conversation with him for 12 hours.
What happened with his chest? He said it exploded.
Yeah, he said he exploded into light.
I thought he said
his whole body exploded. Starting from his chest.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought he said his chest opened up and all these souls started shooting out.
The psychedelic side of it, as far as like hallucinations, I definitely was having hallucinations. But like if I opened my eyes up and I'd look at the ceiling, there was these brown little they were like brown little like what's the word, like lines, but they were like curved, and they would just go from both sides, like, and they would make noise over and over. right in front of me, like 5 feet in front of me. I was like, what the fuck is that, dude? But I was expecting, because I heard one guy say his whole head split open and another head popped up underneath it. I had none of that kind of. I didn't have those kind of hallucinations.
That was one I thought about. I was like, I really hope nothing like that happens.
I was waiting for it. I was terrified.
Did not want. I know.
I was terrified.
I was right after, and that's what I mean. Like the head split one, and then the head pop out, and then the fucking guy with the soles.
Yeah.
Mine, like, apparently I heard it wrong, but I was like, this shit's gonna be fucking like off the fucking wall, dude. It was totally different for me than I thought what it was gonna be.
You can never know. That's the thing. Like the first time you smoke weed or something, you're like, you think of it as one thing, and as soon as it kicks in, you're like, you can never guess what it's gonna be like. Each substance is completely individually. It's its own thing, and you can never you only guess at what it is, and when you get in it, you're like, whoa, this is interesting,
dude.
Like the first time I did mushrooms,
I was way more comfortable on Ibogaine than I was the last time that I did other psychedelics.
I was not. I got a master class in how the mind works. That's what mine was, literally a master class in mind.
Even just like you said before the podcast, your fucking heart rate when we sat down was at 90 and mine was at 61.
Yeah, you can
60.
It's
because you were fucking beating yourself up before you went into it, which influenced the trip.
What I learned is the quality of your experience is completely dictated on the way how well you use your mind. Like you can make your whole life suffering by resisting what's happening, and you can also make the worst situation really good by the way you're using your mind to look at it. The mind is the way you frame your experience of life. It's the way that you put shape to things. And it was like I went through suffering, dude. I suffered, like literal deep suffering, deep loneliness, and it was like I still wouldn't let myself run. I was like, I don't waste the opportunity of being on psychedelics, because you can really open doors that are like harder to open sober. So I was like, just no matter how scared you are, find out who you are, dive into yourself. But dude, it was terrifying, the depths that you can make your mind go into scared, but you could also go the other way with it. It's such a beautiful tool, but we don't have nobody ever taught us how to use it. So we're just guessing. We got no user's manual. No one showed us. So we're just trying our best and getting lost. And you can get lost in your mind, dude.
Dude, yeah. The only time I've ever experienced it as a reflection of what you went through was when I was in prison.
Yeah.
I wasn't lost, but I was I've never been in that place in my mind, trying. It wasn't prison. It was me trying to get to the fucking CRC.
That's actually a good metaphor for it. The mind is either heaven or hell. Like,
what is the CRC, Chris?
What?
What's the CRC?
That's a community reentry center.
Oh, so you're saying that your mind state from trying to get from the first place to the second place was the test?
Yeah, I was just trying to fucking get back to the work release center so I could fucking.
I was just trying to understand. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like the mind itself. It's like that was one thing I realized in it was. I've never thought heaven and hell were a real place. I think there's the present, whatever that is. But then I realized heaven and hell is your experience of your own mind. If you're really struggling and freaking out, you're literally in a mental prison. But if you're in a state of flowing with what is happening, then you're in a positive state. You're literally in heaven. And it's literally your choice how you experience life and how well you use your mind.
Right.
It's insane. Or maybe even get out of mind. Maybe you could say that the positive side is being more centered in your heart and being more in the moment.
I think that is more like attitude based.
Same thing to me. Attitude is a mind thing.
It's the same, tomato, basically.
Yeah. Semantics.
Yeah. But it is. The attitude forms what your life is. There's plenty of people that are in absolutely horrible fucking situations, and they're way happier than people that are extremely wealthy. And I talked. There's a saying of one of my best friends' dads told me one time. He's like, I know people with millions of dollars that are fucking miserable. Mm-hmm. And they're all over the place out there. But there's plenty of people that are absolutely fucking poor that are very happy.
Yeah.
It's not a gauge of happiness by any means.
Yeah.
Or, their attitude is the gauge.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like relative to how intelligently you're working with life.
Yep.
Yeah. I think that's a good stopping point, dude. I think Freedom Renegade Radio Podcast 11, sponsored by Downpour Digs. Go in there. Jerome, Idaho, feel free to what? You want to clink? Feel free to the code. Feel free to go into Downpour Digs. Mention that you saw this podcast. Get $10 off any pair of boots. Thank you guys for listening to us. We appreciate you so much. Funkmaster Fletch, thank you so much for being here.
Love you guys.
Again, let's go.